everybody? Welcome back to Hops News. As you can see here, it is Lauren and I doing our gangsta stuff once again, talking about Orlando Beer Week this week. A lot of good stuff coming out of the Orlando beer scene. If you've been following our pages, you know that Hoppy, aka Lauren, she's always out there slaying it with everything that she does. So that said, like I said, it's me and Lauren tonight. We are going to be talking Orlando Beer Week, some news, things of that nature. As always, make sure to go to all the podcasting platforms, search us at Hops News, and we can be found there. You can find Hops Geek News under that. You can find our regular, normally Wednesday night shows. However, tonight it is a Thursday night show. And then, go ahead and it's on YouTube, everywhere you can find us, Instagram, all that good stuff. So there we are. Tonight, I'm going to kick us off with a nice little beer that I got in our Hops News beer exchange. It's from Raquette River Brewing. It's a maple cream porter, and it is, from Raquette Brewing, which is up in the Adirondacks, I believe. Yep, Upper Tupper Lake, New York. I got this one from Corey. Shout out to Corey, one of our Hops News family members. And it's wicked good. So a medium-bodied porter with a lush mouthfeel and a sweet touch of maple, brewed with 5 gallons of local maple syrup. Contains lactose, which everybody these days is up in arms about lactose beers. I don't really know why. Everyone's like, oh, beer's brewed with lactose and IPA brewed with lactose. Oh my God. It's ridiculous, but it is a really good bodied porter, man. I think it's delicious. It's not too dark. You can kind of see here, nice little flavor. Got a nice little flavor hint, and has your smoky taste of a porter that you'd come to expect. So what's up? How you doing over there? Like, we're normally on Wednesdays. Last night scheduling, we're all running around. Life is crazy. So we pushed it tonight and figured we'd come say hey tonight for a little bit. So how you doing? What are you drinking?
I'm doing good. I have learned, I was just eating some boiled peanuts from Sideward Brewing because they are amazing, but they're a little spicy, so I'm still a little bit cooling down. But the best thing to pair with Sideward boiled peanuts is a Yacht Money. So this is their New
Yeah,
England IPA. I don't know why I said it like that. Probably because my mouth
yeah,
is on
yeah,
fire.
yeah.
um, I would love to, I should try to get them on. I would love to talk to them. I've never talked to the owner of this, but I always imagine that this beer is called Yacht Money because if you had all the money you spent on craft beer, it would be enough to buy a yacht. That's
I
just kind of
mean,
how
honestly, right?
I imagined it. So this is their New England IPA. They release it every now and then. This is the first beer they ever had that I fell in love with, and I knew this brewery was going to be great. But this one's with Phantasm, which I guess is a hop. I don't know. Is
I
Phantasm
guess
a hop?
so. I think so. I don't know.
I feel like I should know that.
We
But
do a
I
beer
got it in my
podcast. We should know that. Why do I not know that?
because there's like new hops and yeast strains like
There,
every
to be
day.
fair, there is, and I'm looking at the graph that has the top hops by state. Basically Washington, Idaho, and Oregon, because 73% of America's hops are, made in Washington. 16% is actually up in Idaho, and then the 11% is down to Oregon. And Phantom is not on any of those. So
All
I'll
right.
go over that list
So
in a little bit.
I just looked it up. Introducing Phantasm, the hot new ingredient in beer. So,
Oh.
yeah. With new varietal development focusing on the creation of compounds that we perceive in part, da 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 da. I'll look more into that and maybe I'll make it a beer school because I'm not really sure what it is. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. But it's really
Uh,
good.
I don't. Have you sent me a yacht money before? You might have. I think so.
I Yeah, but it didn't have
It's
the
been a while.
Phantasm. That's different.
Oh God, that goes perfectly with Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. Just saying, one of the best Batman animated
Ah,
movies. Yeah.
well, I did buy a 4-pack, so but yeah, they
Ooh.
released it this week for Orlando Beer Week, which ends on Saturday, which is well, maybe it ends
Wow,
on
that was a
Sunday.
fast week. Or maybe I
I
just didn't
know,
hear
and I
about it
barely
until
got to do
today.
any of it. Well, a lot of the breweries do special events and special releases, but when you have 3 kids, you don't really get to go to all of them or any of them.
Just take your kids to the
But
brewery, let them run around. That's what everybody else does, right?
we did that at Sideward today. We sat outside on a park bench, but I didn't let them run around. I'm always terrified my kids are going to knock over somebody's beer and it's just going to be a disaster.
Did I?
And
Oh,
then
did I tell you about the time I went to a brewery back home? So we were in Portsmouth. We went to Loaded Question, and we were there at the getting our beer. And I turn around, and there's a vending machine, not a vending machine, but a cooler, and had beer in it. And there's a space, like a cooler space wall. somebody left their baby in a car seat sleeping in between the wall and the cooler with beer. And I was just
I
like,
think, yeah,
what?
you have told me that story
Like, I
before.
will always remember, like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I am more, I don't even know. I don't like, at least when I go, I'm like, my kids were sitting there, we're not running around or anything. Cause I'm like you, I'm self-conscious. I don't want anybody knocking over beer. Cause
Yeah.
I took Oliver when he was a baby into a beer store in Fort Walton Beach, and I wasn't paying attention. And babies, they want to grab everything. Well, he knocked over like a $20 bottle of beer in the beer store. And I was like,
Mm.
I am white trash right now. I got to get out of here.
Well, I had one time we were at the Wynwood area in Miami, which you can walk. Wynwood Brewing's down there, and the new Dogfish is down there in Jay Wakefield. But it's a whole area where you can walk around and see different art and whatnot. So we split up. It was Josh was with took the little kids, and he was with his cousin and his kids, and my dad and I went to the brewery, just the two of us. But Josh was like, "Take the stroller. I don't want to. I don't need the stroller." So my dad and I walk over to the brewery, and I just parked the stroller in like the corner of the brewery where it wouldn't be in anybody's way. And we sat at the bar, and I watched this lady like walk in, and like she starts to walk towards the stroller. I'm like, "It's fine, it's mine. There's nothing's in it. It's empty."
It's going to be
She looked
full
a
of
little
beer here in
relieved
a
and
little bit.
confused. Oh yeah, so my stroller has definitely been full of beer walking out of a brewery before, hands down.
Robbie, I got to say, it is 2022. Even more reason to tolerate lactose. Like, have you not been with us? We're on like 2020 version 3. Let the people like what they like. Unless it's peppers in beer, in which case we are going to shame them until they cut the crap.
If you follow our TikTok, the world agrees with me that peppers do belong in beers and that peppers are delicious. In fact, what was it? Somebody commented on a post today. It's a past guest. And he said one of the best, he hasn't had an Orlando beer, but one of his best beers in Florida was from Three Daughters. The first spicy beer I ever had was from Three Daughters. And it was so good. It was one of the very first growlers I got.
I think, you know what? I'll give you this one because people actually agreed with me about Batman v Superman on that app. And so we'll take a split on that one. I'll give you that. I will
All
give you.
right, that's fair.
If you aren't following us, we are one of the cool kids that we are on the TikTok these days. We have a joint TikTok account, and we love to make cool videos and stuff. So go ahead, search Hops Geek News. Patrick, we will indeed fight about this. He's asking me to fight. I will come there. We will fight, and it's gonna be our Batman v Superman, except for over peppers and beer, which is it's probably more of a reason to fight than their reason in Batman v Superman. But I digress.
I feel like maybe you just haven't had a good. I mean, when was the last time you had a beer with peppers in it? And where was that beer from?
Okay, so I had one fairly recently. You know what? I don't remember actually now. It was kind of recently, okay? That I can promise you. But I can't remember what it is right now.
So you still give them a chance. You haven't completely dismissed them.
I have not. I will, like, the first time I ever had one was I was at the Maui Brewing Company in Hawaii, and the guy surprised me with it. He was like, "Oh, this is one of our new beers. A lot of people like it." And he gave it to me, didn't tell me what it was. I drank it, like, a little too big of a gulp, and I got it, like, burned. And I was like, "This is awful." Oh. And so I think that might have ruined, but I just don't like spicy stuff anyways in general. I don't know. Or maybe I'm
But you
weird.
like the badass rub. I mean, like, you don't need to have your mouth on fire, although my lips are still burning from these peanuts.
That's
They're
fair.
so good though. But see,
That's like
I
those
think
hop nuts. Those hop nuts are wicked spicy too. God, hot berries. I
yeah,
love you, but those hop nuts, oof, they fight ya.
that's funny. I love them. It's funny because you want to eat more and then you have to like take a break. It's almost like
No
I should be
kidding.
sipping milk with them.
Like something, and it's crazy. But Orlando Beer Week.
Yeah.
Before we get to that,
You
real
don't want
quick.
to talk about peppers and beer anymore,
No,
huh?
before we get to Orlando Beer Week, I was reading an article this week that was talking about Mosaic moves to second in other hoppy notes by Beervana, and the annual report from Hop Growers of America is out. So you're not going to be surprised, but Citra remains first with a 20% of all acreage grown.
Ooh.
Mosaic is actually
Wow.
second, swapping places with CTZ and Cascade, swapped with Simcoe to take fourth place. So your top 10 overall in acreage that are grown this year, or the last year, I should say, Citra, Mosaic, CTZ, Cascade, Simcoe, Centennial, Pato, I hope I said that right, Amarillo, Chinook, El Dorado. And yeah, I didn't know that Pato. Again, if I'm not pronouncing that
No
right.
cashmere?
No. So tops. So obviously Washington, Idaho, and Oregon, like I mentioned, kind of grow all the hops for the country for the most part. The top hops in Washington are Citra, CTZ, Mosaic, Cascade, Simcoe, Pato, and Centennial, while Idaho is Citra, Mosaic, and then CTZ, Eldorado, Idaho 7, Chinook, and
Mm.
Cascade. And then Oregon has Citra, Mosaic, Strata, Cascade, Nugget, Simcoe, and finishes off with Williamette. So I thought that was kind of cool, but it's kind of nice to see Idaho has taken Oregon over as far as hop growing. So obviously Washington's the number one state, but Idaho now grows 16%, which is a really good amount because hop
Mm.
farms are becoming big here. They grow all the barley here. And then all other states in America actually combine for 2.2% of the country's acreage, which is actually down a third from 2020. So Ohio
Mm.
actually is on the list. It pulled 805 of their 870 acres out of the ground. And Colorado actually pulled out all but 10 acres of their 147 acres. And Montana was the only state outside of the Pacific Northwest to increase their acreage. So I think that's pretty cool. Since 2012, Washington has grown 48%, Oregon 41%, Idaho 73%, and so they've increased their acreages as a total of 51% across the country. So beer is booming in that regard. So make sure you're getting to the tap rooms, things like that, because they're brewing beer. They're going up there. They're getting the hops. Hops are important, especially in this area of the country. And yeah,
I feel like Idaho's missing out on like a huge, I feel like, tourism situation. Like the fact that these maltsters and these, they should be called hoppers, hop farmers.
it's
We should make that happen.
it's very
And these
interesting you
hoppers.
say that because, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but Idaho people who are native to Idaho, I will say, they are very adamant about keeping other people out of the state. Like, don't tell anybody about our state, blah 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 blah. But like, it's crazy because Boise relies on it. Like, your economy basically is all mountains, so they're known for skiing. Like Sun Valley is a big skiing. Ketchum, Sun Valley, Boise, like all that, like all the mountains here in the southern middle part of Idaho are all known, and like they need that tourism. So it's like,
Mhm.
why are you telling people to stay away? You should be bringing people in because then it's going to boost your businesses up. But they're very like, I hear people all the time at work that are like, when I grew up in Boise was only 50,000 people, and now it's like 300,000 people. Oh, not my Boise. It had one stoplight. And I'm like, dude, these are the times you got to grow with them, man. You should want
Right.
people to come because then it's going to like showcase that, maybe break some stigmas, and then also help people out with jobs.
Yeah, I feel like I used to get that a little bit when I was younger. Like growing up in, Fort Lauderdale, being in high school and going to the beach, like you used to hate when you would see people there for spring break. It was like, okay, now your beach is busy because there's spring breakers here and you're sitting in traffic and you'd be like, ugh, there's a Connecticut license plate and there's a, North Carolina license
Yeah.
plate and you want your beach to yourself. But at the same time, as an adult, like we don't have state income tax. So there are benefits to tourism dollars.
Well,
But
yeah, like
But I
you
just imagine like what a great beercation that would be to be able to see like like where they're growing the barley and where they're growing the hops and then drink the beer that's like literally farm to glass. Like that would be
well, that's why
such an
fresh
amazing
hop is such a
beercation.
big thing out here, and they even have the festival. Like I was talking to you, like Rob from Woodland Empire,
Mhm.
our friend, he was explaining how they will literally drive 30 minutes to the hop field, get the hops for the beer that they're brewing that day, return and put them in. It does not get fresher than that because
Right.
if you have to go anywhere else in the country, you're freezing them, or not even freezing them, you're like overnighting these hops that are going to be as fresh as possible. Whereas here it's like, oh, straight from the farm, 30 minutes
Yeah.
down the road. And I want to get up to the hop fields this year. That's one thing I definitely is on my list, is to get up to the hop fields that are right up the road.
But like the hops, a lot of other places, even Florida is now starting to get the hops, not to the level Idaho and Oregon
Well,
and
right.
California are, but you guys also have barley. And that's just,
Yeah,
when
eastern
we
Idaho
had
is all barley.
But when we had the guy on from Western, was it Western Malt? The
Yeah, the
maltster
Great
guy?
Great Western Malting Company. Yeah.
Great, there you go. Like that just seems like, oh my gosh, to be able to do a tour there and everything. That's like the ultimate geek vacation. Like people should be traveling from everywhere to go do that.
You would think
So
so. That's why
we
it's
need to
like,
start our own private hop snooze vacation.
I mean, come to Idaho. Like if everybody like Boise, there's multiple hotels that are really cheap, that are really nice, like right in the downtown area, and you can walk 10 minutes and you're at 10 different breweries in that little area. So it's like super walkable. You don't have to drive. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the one good thing about this place. That I'm like, if I lived in Boise, I'd be drunk all the time because I'm at the breweries all the time.
Yeah. We do have lots of areas to pull it back to Orlando Beer Week. We have little segments, like areas that we can, obviously when you were here, we did Ivanhoe, which you can walk to 3 different craft beer bars now because Gnarly Barley just opened up right there. And you got Ivanhoe and you got 1010 and you have Brass Tap. And then you have over in the Hourglass district, we now have Hourglass. There's an Irish pub, there's Commission Beer Chamber. And then you have Sanford where you can walk around as well. And there's a bunch of craft beer bars like there's Wops Hops Brewing and there's Deviant Wolf Brewing, and then there's Celery City, which is a great craft beer bar, and more of that. And I need to do videos on all these. It's terrible I haven't done an Orlando video, but we're also spread out.
Oh yeah.
So I know Boise is more congregated. But
Well,
what I
even
really did want
so,
to talk about,
I need to do that as before. Like, I need to do the same thing because I did that video, but there's so many more that I need to do. So
at least you did one. I have literally
yeah,
done nothing for Orlando, well, other than
that's fair.
Disney.
Well, you're gonna do something right now. What do you want to talk about?
Yes. So a new brewery actually opened. Their grand opening is this weekend, and it's called Dead Words Brewing. It's just outside of downtown. It's kind of, if you're familiar with the area, it's near Broken Strings Brewery, kind of near where we have our soccer stadium. And it is a beer geek's dream, I feel, as far as breweries. Everybody who's been there is already saying, oh, this is the best brewery in Orlando. And, a lot of times you hear that when the brewery opens, but this place, they're really focusing on old school beers and new school beers. And one of the beers I saw, and I instantly got excited because it was called Burton Ernie. So it was Burton, Burton.
Yeah.
And it's named after that lake or the river that Allsop's Brewing talked about, the
Oh yeah.
Burton on Trent. And so the taproom manager was walking around. She's, when they first open, they want to walk around, make sure everybody's having fun, make sure everything's good. And I asked her about it, and she goes, "Yeah, it's named after." She was surprised that because I only know that because the Allsops guy was on. But it was really cool because she's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what we named after." And she's like, "That's the style we were going for." And then you can see, so they have a huge glass wall, and you can see the whole brewing area, and it's huge. So it's like somebody put some money into this,
Yeah.
and they have this. It looks like a huge clay pot, and you could see that it was fermenting because it was bubbling at the top. And when we asked, what are you fermenting? And she said it was a Sati beer, which is like specific to Norway. And I had actually just read about it in that book I mentioned last week, the Woman Belongs in the Brew House.
Oh yeah.
And so I thought, and that was the book that mentioned Carla Jean, the beer babe that we had on Hops News a few months ago. And so she's like, yeah, we have all these plans of doing this. And I guess it's one of 13 fermenters like that in the country. So I was like, well, that's really
I love
cool.
nerdy stuff like that. This is, it was funny. We saw that there's so many people that are talking about when they go on vacation and their spouse is like, oh, we're going to another brewery. And it's like, well, yeah, dude, like, who cares? It's the fact that you get to see their system setups. You get to try. Yeah, sure, it's a New England IPA, but they maybe have like a little bit different things going on with their IPA compared to where you are, and it's just getting to try things from new areas that I think's wicked cool.
Yeah, and every brewery, I feel like every beer nerd kind of makes a joke like, "Oh, you're going to do another brewery tour. They're all the same."
But no, they're not.
You get a little something different from every single one. Yeah.
You do. You get the different personalities, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just the people who make up the brewery, not everybody's the same. And then of course you get like the hops that they're using, the fermenters that they're using, the different styles, ways that they grain, the grains and the malts and everything like that. Like the atmosphere, it's just like it's not the same.
Yeah.
Okay, trust me. That's like saying going to every sports stadium to watch a football, basketball, hockey game. It's like it's all the same. It's like, no, it's the atmosphere that makes up like where you're going.
Right. And every brewery has a different origin story too. They all got into craft beer for different reasons and whatnot. And you think also like the first beer tour I ever did, my go-to, I still had Budweiser in the fridge at home. I was just starting to get into it. So you just think like I remember the first time they're like, how many ingredients are in beer? I'm like, I don't know. And then I remember the dumbest I ever felt was like, how many different styles of beer are there? And I'm like, the guy looks at me and I'm like, I don't know, 1 million. And he's like 2 lagers and ales. I'm like,
that they teach you that the Sam Adams one. I mean, that's where I learned that when I took it. And I was like, I'm thinking of like IP. I'm thinking of all the different things. And he's like, there's only 2 and they fall into this category. And it's like, you come away with a really good education almost. If you listen, if you're just there to drink beer and do whatever, then fine, so be it. But like if you're actually interested in this stuff, you come away with a fairly good grasp or a little bit more knowledge every time that you go and talk to a different brewer. Like me and Rob,
Yeah.
the beer that we're dropping this Saturday, the Donut Geek, like we brewed it on like he turned like his kegs that he had from when he was brewing in Austin with the family business folks into
Ugh.
like a boiler, into a mash, like all connected in the way with a propane pilot system and everything. It's like it's we were brewing in his brewery, but on a homebrew level almost. And so I'm excited for
Hmm.
that. And so you're always learning new tricks, and I learned all sorts of different terminologies that day.
So wait, so some of the brewing equipment there was in family business? Is that what you
So
just said?
not necessarily, it wasn't in family business. So when he got his start, they were like home brewing and stuff, right? And
Hmm.
they had kegs and things that they actually got from Sierra Nevada. Like the kegs say Sierra Nevada. Well,
Ah,
they turned them in like one into a boiler. There's one, like, and then another one that's a mash tun, and then one that you put water in. It's going to feed into your mash tun and things like that while you're
right.
malting and all that kind of stuff. So it was a cool setup. I think I have a picture on my phone still. I'll send you that picture because I know I posted it. But excuse me. Oof. It was yeah, it's just rad. And then of course behind me, all their tanks and their labeling and they're drawing their stuff. So it's all interesting how everybody has a different system for how they do
Yeah.
the same thing in a way. It's just like comic books, right? How many different superheroes have the similar powers, but we all love each comic book character for something different.
Right. Well, and like when we did the Stone tour a few years ago, like just the capacity that they have and to like walk through there, it was like it was insane how huge it was.
Yeah.
Um, but to anybody who's listening who is unaware, so Family Business Brewing is the brewery, or Family Business Beer Company is the brewery that's just outside of Austin, that's owned by one of the guys that's from Supernatural, which if you've ever listened to any of our Hops Geek News podcasts, you know that I'm very much so into them. And I knew that they knew this brewer, that the head brewer at Family Business, but then you were on that one podcast, and I didn't realize how close they knew
Yeah.
that brewer.
They
So
were
that's
like
really cool.
friends and everything. It's wild, and I'm stoked. So quick plug again, if you happen to be listening to this from the Boise area, I collaborated with a beer with Woodland Empire that's releasing at their 8th anniversary party this Saturday. I know it was supposed to be last Saturday, some things happened, but it's actually this Saturday. They're having a release from 2 to 7. They have a bunch of different anniversary beers, but the one that I collaborated with is a donut beer. So we had a dozen donuts we put in the mash, and we tasted just the taste the day we were brewing it. It tasted wicked good, so I can't wait to see what it is like,
Mm.
fermented, carbonated, all that. It's going to be like a 10% stout called Donut Geek, and 11 gallons of that bad boy. So I'm really hoping that they have an ability to can at least a crowler, so I can take a couple of those and get one to you, and get you a box
Absolutely,
out for
yeah.
this weekend and pick up their anniversary beers. Because I mean, it just, I talk about it a lot, but it's just something cool, kind of like my start into the craft beer brewing industry, anyways.
Hmm. Yeah, but that's really cool. You got to go there, and it always amazes me seeing these breweries, and we've seen it with Common Law Brewing, where you're literally putting these donuts in. It's
Yeah.
just so crazy because you don't really realize that until you see it,
Well,
unless you're a brewer.
I saw there's a meme that was like brewers back in the 80s, and they're just putting like your hops and barley in there, and then it's like
Right.
brewers now, and they're dumping a bag of gummy bears in there. It's like, but we should always be pushing forward to try new things. Why not? Because after a while, like, you're telling me that anybody who sits down and enjoys a Miller Lite, like, come on, man, like that just tastes like
Mm.
sadness. All right.
I think it's the neuro association because, like, I remember opening a Bud Light or a Budweiser and being like, "Oh, this tastes like candy." It was like candy in a glass. Like,
That's
I
fair.
remember my first sip of beer after I had, one of my kids and being like, "Oh," I walked straight in the house from the hospital and opened a Bud Light and was like, "This
Tastes
is
like hard work,
amazing.
brother.
I earned this beer."
I was
And
out in
now
the
I
coal
taste it, I'm like, "Oh my
mines.
god, it's terrible. It's so bad."
I drank a Bud Light recently. I'm just like, ugh. Patrick says
I
eating
try,
them
yeah.
doesn't help the brew mash. No, to be fair, we had a separate box for eating and a separate box for brewing, so we were smart.
He said you put the donuts in the mash.
Oh. Ba-da-ba-ba-bum, tss. How did I not get that? Took a minute.
Oh, it was
That's
a dad joke. I'm surprised I had to explain it.
wow. How did I not get that? Embarrassing, freaking embarrassing, man. Let's talk about Orlando Beer Week though. What kind of things did they have going on around the breweries? Because I'm something of an Orlando beer geek myself. We went there almost. Wow, it was almost a year ago now. Oh God,
Yeah, it's
what the?
nuts.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
Let's see. Ellipsis Brewing just celebrated their anniversary. That kind of kicked it off. And Design Build did a little collab with them, which I'm very excited. If you're in the Orlando area, especially if you're a girl, we're doing a brew day with Design Build Brewing for Galentine's Day, but we're doing it February 12th because February 13th is this little game called the Super Bowl.
Nope, nope. But they
So,
canceled it this year. Actually, fun
oh, they
fact.
canceled
So
it
they
after
actually
Green Bay
canceled
lost.
after Green Bay lost. They were like, "Wow, that's unfortunate. We actually can't play the Super Bowl anymore." Oh no! So
It's a shame they
it's
lost.
a
They're like
shame.
my
And then
favorite
they're
bay.
also like, this dude's going to Yellowstone that weekend, so we're just gonna scrap the Super Bowl. We'll pick things up in September. All right.
All right, maybe we'll move the event back to the 13th then.
It is funny that they
Um,
moved it to Valentine's Day weekend.
well, yeah, because it's usually the week before. Like we didn't even realize at first, and we're like, oh crap, we can't have a event on Super Bowl if it's not based around the Super Bowl. But Design Build Brewing, they haven't opened yet, so they're still brewing in one of the brewers' garages, but they've done some collabs with Ellipsis. Their beer is phenomenal. So if you ever see it at Ellipsis or anywhere else, grab it. They do a lot of beer fests. Like they had a cotton candy one. It tasted like cotton candy. And
Ooh.
then they've had stouts. I mean, some of the best stouts I've ever had. I can't wait till they open. So they started off with that. Tactical had some great. I just got more Freedom in a Cage, which is one of my favorite beers of theirs. Although it tastes like quarantine because the first time they released it was like the week we went into quarantine, and I think that's why it's called Freedom in a
What
Cage.
time? Because I feel like we've been on about 6 of them by now.
Well, they first released it in like March 2020.
Oof.
So we were getting like crowlers of it, and so they just. But I tasted it. I'm like, this tastes like quarantine, but
It's like
it's a
tastes like
fantastic beer.
unknown.
Yeah,
ah,
but it's Sunday. If you're into loggers, Tactical's doing a logger day. And Jay, you should
oh,
fly down here. You would love that. But Saturday is their Smash Festival, so I just bought my tickets.
what's a
I'm
Smash
going
Festival? You gonna smash a
Smash
bunch of beers,
Festival.
brother?
Well, last time I went to Smash Festival, I actually just went with my mom. Oh my god,
I got smashed.
I got Smash, and yeah. Uh, and then we picked up. I made my mom pick up Jessica, and then we went to a bar,
Jessica.
and they were like, I don't think you should have another beer. So I remember sitting at the bar drinking water. Um, it's called single malt and single hop. So every brewery is given the same malt and the same hop, but they can do whatever they want with it. So you can make a sour, you can make a lager, you can make an IPA. When I went, the beer that won was actually like a purple grape soda sour. I think it was from Intracoastal Brewing.
Mm.
Um, and you get when you go in, you're given like tokens. I think you get like 3 tokens, and you get to vote. So everybody has a box, and you put tokens in for the box. I think the first two I put really good thought in, and by the third, I don't know where the third one went. It was really hot that day, and I was hiding from the sun under a tent, and that tent was Boegan's, and they had a triple IPA at
Oh
9%.
God.
And the girls that work at that brewery are so funny, and I was just sitting there sipping my beer and like talking to them, and they were cracking me up, and that's like the last thing I remember. But this Saturday is going to be a high in the 50s.
Whoa, that's a scorcher. It's been. I think this weekend's gonna be in the upper 20s.
Yikes.
I'm
Well,
excited.
we
See,
contemplated not going because of the cold, but
it's not
we
fair.
are.
See, the beer was supposed to release last weekend, so I wasted my get really intoxicated, drink a lot of beers because we went to Western Collective, and I probably drank like 7 or 8 different beers. And I started with a triple IPA, and then I went to their more lighter ones. So it's like I can't do that this weekend because we wasted our babysitter last weekend for the stupid Packers. So I'm
It's
like,
like
damn
Big
it.
Daddy, I wasted my good surprise on you. We well, at least how
Oh
do you have any
man,
idea what the ABV is on that beer geek?
10%. Yeah,
Oh
10%.
shit.
So it's gonna be a 10% stout, and
Mm.
I can't even remember the recipe now. I gotta remember the recipe. I will say that I have a friend. He's a lieutenant, and he's big into beer. He's got his first level of Cicerone, like all that. Why did I say Cicerone? I was meant to say
Because
because
it's in that TV show,
that's why I was thinking. I
Cicerone.
was thinking the TV show. I don't, and I caught it immediately instead of my head. That's why. But I gave him one of my beers, and he's giving me one that he's aged for 2 years that he made in his home brewing system, and he asked for the recipe and stuff. But now I'm like, dang, I didn't get the recipe for the beer that Rob and I made. I'll have to hit him up for that. But it's
That's really cool.
I wonder if I can get something like Smash going on out here in Idaho. Like I've been wanting to do like kind of get bottle share broken into the scene out here more, is like put on some sort of beer festival of sorts. And I wonder if we can do like a Smash beer festival where at least one of everybody's beer is like the single malt, single hop. But I'm not sure how. Obviously, I've never coordinated something like this, so I don't know where to even begin.
Oh, yeah, coordinating a beer fest is a lot. I don't know that Smash is local to Orlando. I think see, that's another thing I'll have to look in for next week.
Well,
I want to say that
Patrick,
that's something that other places do.
Patrick said Smash beers are cool, so it must be. But Idaho, again, I feel like Idaho's in like an isolated area almost. Just because I don't know, because I haven't heard of a Smash festival or anything, and they don't even necessarily do like beer festivals out here. There's like one that happens in August, so that's another reason why I'm like, bro, let's beer fest this baby out. Like, what are you guys doing? This is the perfect chance. Who doesn't
Maybe
love
it's
going to a
because
beer
of COVID
fest?
though, because the last beer fest I went to was actually February 2020. So
They
this
were
will be
doing some
my
last year. They did one in my
first
town.
one.
Remember? I worked.
Oh
I was
yeah,
with
you
White
went.
Dog. Yeah, I worked with
Yeah, you
Dan over at
poured.
White Dog. Yeah, I was pouring all day, which I'll probably do again this year, or try to get like a table for bottle share / us out there.
Right. So we actually do have another beer fest on Saturday too, and that's the one you sent me at the Science Center. But we're doing the outside one because of COVID. But I poured at the Science Center one last year, and it was the first time they did it. I poured for Funky Buddha, and that was really cool because I've been to a wedding there too, which is neat because during, what do they call that? Like the appetizer hour or the cocktail hour when they're doing pictures with the bride and groom and you haven't seen it been set yet. But they let all the games at the museum, like all the grown-ups can play with the games. So you can go in the tornado booth and you can pretend you're on the news and you can take pictures with the dinosaurs, and it's pretty
See,
cool.
I love stuff like that. That sounds awesome. Like that is up my alley. But then again, it makes sense just to do everything outside right now because of the happenings.
Well, I might get hypothermia though.
Oh my god.
I should have gotten one of those Hops
degrees.
News beanies.
Just wear a hoodie. You're gonna be great. You'll be fine.
I'm going to need more than a hoodie. It was 50
me.
degrees at Universal on Saturday, and I had a hoodie and like a winter coat on and a scarf.
Literally like the best.
It's cold.
That is, if I could live year round in 50-degree weather, I'm there.
Okay. You lived in Florida for a little bit, so you should know this. When the humidity is high, though, it feels colder. So like on Saturday, the humidity was 93%. So it did feel colder than like 50 degrees.
I think you'll be fine. But we, honestly, though, I'm just saying, so people in the chat, if you're still with us, we have considered making either Hops Geek or Hops News beanies and or hats. I have a friend who does a lot of design, and he also works with a printing company that is able to make those for us. And I love beanies, so I would definitely be all about that. So let us know in the comments if that's something you're interested in, because I love beanies. Lauren loves dad hats. So
I do love dad hats.
Da, 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 we can make some. We could. Mark, I know since you're in the chat, is there any word on when you guys are opening up your tap room, by the way? Because I need an excuse to go down to Nashville and see you / brew with you guys as well.
That's interesting what Mark said. It's so hard to nail a Smash beer. Huh.
That is interesting. Well, I guess that is interesting. I would have thought it would have maybe have been easier, but I don't know. Do you have any other news, by the way, while we...
the only little... So a bunch of the Florida breweries went up to Tallahassee this week with the Florida Brewers Guild, and they are trying to make it so that we do not have to go through the intermediaries anymore, meaning the distributors, so that if anybody's paid attention or has been around for a while or is even familiar with the prohibition BS we still deal with, where you breweries can't directly sell to another business without going through a third party. So they have to, like, you can't sell to the restaurant next door unless you give it to a distributor, and then the distributor sells it to that person, and of course that's going to cut into their profits. So a bunch of the breweries, including Ivanhoe, who is a past guest, was in Tallahassee this week trying to change that law. So I would keep you updated. And that would be good for everybody, because if they can make more money directly, it's less money for us when we buy it, I hope.
That's true. Well, that's also there's that bill that they're introducing to Congress that would allow like us to be able to ship through the postal service beer and such as well, which is something that really needs to happen because it's like you're able to ship wine and then it's just like it's so archaic that we're living in like these prohibition times in a certain sense where you can't ship alcohol. It's like I get it, but it's just dumb. And Mark said maybe another month or so. Mark, no stress. As soon as you find out a date that you're opening, let us know so that way we can try and get down there. Also,
Or up there,
or up to, well, yeah, either one because that would
depending
be
on where you're from.
depending where you're going, but that would be rad just to get down there. Yeah, so shipping with the post office, like that's a bill I guess is going through Congress. I know I signed the petition or whatever, and I emailed it to the Idaho congressperson, and he gave some bullshit email back that I don't even remember what he said. It was we're fighting,
Oh,
and
it's
we're gonna
yeah,
take a
probably yeah,
look
it's
at
probably
it.
just automatic reply.
We're fighting the good fight, my
It's like, wow, they
man.
sent me a 5-page reply in 5 minutes. Yeah.
You obviously, he's like, thanks for reaching out. Your input means a lot to us. It's like, no, it doesn't. You're busy introducing other awful bills that not going to talk about it here. But yeah, I don't really have too
Oh,
much
okay.
other.
Mark just elaborated a little bit on the smash. He said less complexity with 2 ingredients, so you got to make them hops complement the grain. Quite hard to find the perfect combo. Oh, see, I
That
didn't
does
even
make
think about that.
sense.
I just thought like it's making it more even playing field for the brewers. But yeah, I guess yeah, okay, interesting. See, beer is really one of those things. The more you learn, the less you know, and that is a quote from my dad. He said it about wine, but it's also about beer.
It can always be about beer. Always be about beer. Some other beer news that we have going on. I know that there is a couple of beer or breweries, beers, a couple of breweries. One just opened up in Portland, Maine, by the way, that our past guest Carla Jean went to. Trying to find the name of that real quick. She was just there, and I'm going to find it. I promise you that right now, folks. Yes, so it is called Olive Pit Brewing. They are in not Portland, Maine. They are right outside of Portland, Maine, up in oh gosh, it is Lisbon, Maine. So
The Antissa.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling here tonight. So it is in Lisbon, Maine. It's called Olive Pit Brewing, and they are the first completely women-owned brewery for the state of Maine, actually. And it looks like a really, really kind of cool place to go. It's kind of dog themed, so like their flight boards are the shape of a dog bone. They had a
Mm.
bunch of different beers going on. So if you happen to be in that Portland area, scoot up to the Lisbon, get there. I know I mentioned uh, there was a brewery closing in Portland. We talked about that before. So other than that, that's all my beer news for this week.
Yeah, no, I really don't have too much. But so I have a question for you and for the viewers. What's
Do
the
it.
coolest flight board you've ever seen?
Ooh. So I know that there is a brewery up in McCall. It's McCall Brewing Company. Theirs was in the shape of Idaho. That was pretty rad. And then when I went
Hmm.
to Crossbuck Brewing in Walla Walla, Washington, they're like a railroad theme because they're a railroad town. It was in the shape of an X. Like that was pretty cool. Um,
Okay, I think it's Walla Walla, Washington. That's a
Other
lot of
than
fun to say.
it is, isn't it? Like Walla 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 Walla.
I mean, that's like Francisco.
That's fun to
Walla Walla,
say.
Washington.
Yeah, I don't really know. I've had a lot of generic ones, I guess. What I know
Hmm.
there's I like the ones that like it's a paddle that you hold, and I think Shipyard does this. It's like you sit the beers in there and you pick up the paddle and they like sink down to where they're like
Oh yeah.
hanging kind of freely, like in a roller
I
coaster
think
almost.
Tactical might do that one.
Yeah, and I like that one. That one's kind of cool. But what about
Those
you?
always make me nervous, though.
Oh, I'm
So we
always
actually
terrified.
Orange County Brewers does have a Florida shaped one. But I've actually seen one that was like a plane, like an old school plane. So
Oh,
it's at Crooked Can Brewing, which isn't far from Disney. It's in Winter Garden.
yeah.
And yeah, it's actually like you know how the old planes had like two
Oh,
things?
yeah, yeah. Propellers.
Yeah, there you go. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Well, no, they're like the wings on the side. Aren't the propellers the ones that spin?
The wings on the side.
Yeah, like an old school one, and then the beers go in it. Okay, we're not on Hops Geek News, so I'm just gonna Google it, and then
So, like, all
I can show
planes have
everybody.
wings on the side. That's how they fly.
Right, and that's where the
The
beer glasses go
engines?
into. No, the wing. Hold
What
on.
are you
Crooked
talking about?
Can
What? And what?
Brewing Company. Here we go.
Say that
Crooked
again?
Can Brewing Company. That was really cool. It's Winter Garden. Again, like I said, it's not far from Disney, and it's a super cute little town. And we used to go there regularly, and then breweries opened up all over the place, and we don't need to drive out there anymore to get good beer. They do distribute everywhere, though. I need to
Wow,
look
you've
up.
abandoned where you started. How could you?
Well, I can still buy their beer places. We just don't drive out there as much, if that makes any sense.
You disgust me. What's the
Okay,
picture?
here we
Like,
go.
what are we doing?
Okay, so let's see if it'll show on the screen.
Oh, you keep moving around. Stop. Yeah, the old wings. They're just wings, you silly goose.
Yeah, wings,
Your
right?
mom
Not
said
propellers,
biplane. Your
wings.
mom said a biplane.
Okay, yeah, I think my great grandpa flew one or something.
Yeah, it's like the old corn duster, crop duster planes. Yeah.
Crop duster. I hear crop
Yeah,
dust and
they.
I just think fart.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, that's pretty rad. I would like
Yeah,
that's the coolest. That's like a really cool flight board.
I know
Everybody
it
has now
is.
chimed in saying biplane. Look, none of us just because I'm in the Air Force doesn't mean I know all the planes.
I'm not in anything air related. I know nothing. I hate flying.
My head's in the clouds because I got big dreams, kid. But you
Oh
hate
my
flying? Flying's the
gosh.
best. I love flying.
I mean, I do it because or flying used to not bother me, and then when Josh and I for our honeymoon, we went to South Africa, and that's an 18-hour flight right there. First, you have to fly 2 hours to New York, and then
I know it.
18 hours
I
to
know
South
it.
Africa. My husband sleeps fantastic on planes. I don't sleep at all on planes. And then we had to take a puddle jumper to Kruger to go on like a safari,
Did you see
and the
Freddie?
plane. No, we did not see Freddie. We saw other murderous creatures. And the plane dropped. And like I remember sitting in once we got back to Johannesburg because we were about to get on another plane to go to Cape Town, and Josh started to make fun of me for like the fact that I screamed when the plane dropped, and then he quickly was like, "Oh, I'm not going to make fun of her. She is legit terrified."
It's just like a
And
roller
so I,
coaster when it drops. Like whoop.
but I have faith in Disney and Universal. I
Planes
don't
are a
know.
lot safer than roller coasters.
Well, but I only go on roller coasters at like Disney and Universal.
I don't go on roller coasters.
Really?
I don't like roller
You don't go
coasters,
on
but I
roller
love
coasters?
flying. I don't really like roller coasters, but I do love to fly.
Ah, see, Velocicoaster is amazing.
Velocipaster is better.
I don't know what that means. What that
It's
means.
a really bad movie where they're look it up. That's all I'm gonna say. Look up
Okay.
Velocipaster, people. It's a really B-rated movie,
I think I
but
can imagine now. You've brought to my attention enough sci-fi movies that I think I can
yes,
imagine.
it's as
But
bad as
see,
you would imagine.
my thing is I can't fly, but like boats don't scare me. You don't like cruise ships, right?
I don't like the ocean. Being swept out in the middle of the ocean is not my idea of a good time.
But see, I can swim. I can't fly.
You can swim until you get eaten by a shark or something in the middle of the
You're
ocean.
not going to get eaten by a shark.
Yes, yes, you
That's
will.
not going to happen. Nope. Not going to happen.
Yes, you could. Uh huh.
They're not
I.
even attracted to human
It
blood. They're
doesn't.
attracted to fish blood.
It doesn't matter, okay? You could be out like nobody wants to be in the middle of the dang ocean. Like that's terrifying. And then you're on like a cesspool with all these other people and it's just like a nightmare. You're like a theme park 24/7 in the middle of the ocean. That sounds awful.
Do a Disney one. I wouldn't do a carnival one.
No, it all sounds awful. Although there is an emo cruise starting going out. It has like a lot of emo bands for a week long to Mexico from LA that I could be persuaded to be on.
Disney does a Star Wars one.
Yeah, I know. Like talk to me when I'm wielding a real lightsaber on that bad boy. All right.
All right.
let's go ahead and wrap things up. Lauren, what do they have to look forward to Geeks? We're cutting it short a little bit tonight because Jeremy, who couldn't be here, he actually has a stream going on in the next 10 minutes or so through App State Wrestling that he's got to do. And we have a special guest with Geeks that I will let Lauren talk about. So what do we have to look forward to from the Hops Geek News Crew?
So we just dropped our Peacemaker episode. We just did comic book origin, so no spoilers until the end, and we give you a warning. If you're not watching Peacemaker, though, it's on HBO Max.
So good, dude.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Top.
Yeah, he was in the last Suicide Squad movie, so if you feel like, oh, well, I don't know what's going on, just watch that and then watch this. You probably don't even need to watch that, honestly. I feel like they're kind of like Cobra Kai, where they give you quick glimpses to keep you up to date.
Need to on it. I mean, this is set up in a way that you could start watching without seeing the Suicide Squad. So, but I recommend watching the Suicide Squad movie. Just saying.
Yes. Yeah. So that was fun doing some comic book origin on that. And next week, we're going to have a Cyclops episode drop with our friend Johnny, who is super knowledgeable on comic books.
Is he supernatural? Is he super knowledgeable when it comes to karate?
I don't know. Is he?
Johnny? You don't get it? Johnny?
Oh, because his name's Johnny.
Come
okay,
on.
I'm sorry. Well, because I'm picturing Johnny and he looks nothing like Johnny.
Okay, well, I thought it was funny.
So, yeah. It's like how my husband has 17 friends named Justin and he'll start talking about them. I'm like, I need to know who you're talking about before you start talking. And he's like, well, in my head, I knew.
That's to be fair. Us men, we do know exactly what we're talking about. So you don't worry about it. So what else? Is that it? Is that all we have going on?
At this exact moment.
Okay. Well, in addition to that, come catch your boy at Woodland Empire this weekend. And then, as always, check out Feeling Lucky. Check out all of our other Hops News episodes. And then for geeks, please go to our TikTok, Hops Geek News. Validate us. We're becoming, we're very old. We don't belong in such an app, but I think we're funny. Please laugh
my
at
kids
us.
help me with my TikToks.
I do everything on my own. Then in addition to that, go to Twitter, Hops Geek News. We are crushing it there. We have 7 episodes to go until our 100th Hops Geek News episode. I've kind of been like asking James Gunn and other various famous people that will never actually say yes.
Me, Kevin Smith.
So I've been trying to get some people onto the show for our 100th. It probably won't happen. I was hoping that we would be able to be in person for our 100th and record an episode together. That probably won't happen either. So let us know if you listen to the show what you kind of hope to see from our 100th episode, because it's kind of a big deal. I can't believe we've been doing Hops News for 2 years and Geeks for almost as long. So thank you, everybody, for being along on this journey. In April, we'll have been doing Hops News for 2 years, and that's crazy. Man, it felt like yesterday. And now we're the 2 best friends that anybody could have.
Oh, you need to buy hangover pills. Just a reminder.
Yes. As always, before you drink, go to Happy Hour Vitamins. Get yourself some Happy Hour Vitamins. And then also, look, barbecue season has never ended. It's going to be here before you know it. Make sure to go to Hot Barons and use promo code HOPSNEWS on both Happy Hour Vitamins and Hot Barons, because you get a little discount. So I really appreciate you guys.
Hot Hour Vitamins, though, you got to buy the 2 12-packs for the code to work.
That's true. Hot Barons, it just pays for your shipping at the very least, which is, free shipping.
Plus a little something extra.
And a little something. Thanks for joining us. We will see you all next week. Tune in. Great fight. Great night.